Are the Jazz wearing the highlighter yellow uniforms?
Nope.
They're not. The Jazz wore a black and yellow uniform last night. And anytime we talk Jazz on this show, it's presented by Tri-Day Trading. TriDayTrading.com/Monty. Make sure you get to TriDayTrading.com/Monty. Register for the free webinar. Here's my question on the Jazz. And I mean this wholeheartedly. Very serious question.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of dudes that are not Jazzmen.
When you say that, what does that mean?
There are very few familiar faces on this roster.
Yeah.
You have uniforms that you don't know. And again, the black uniform's fine.
Yeah.
But it's not the Utah Jazz uniform.
No.
These are not Utah Jazz players. What are you hanging on to right now? Because this team is largely anonymous. You don't recognize the shirt. You don't recognize the face. What are you hanging on to as a Utah Jazz fan? They go to Edmonton last night and get trucked by the Toronto Raptors to open the preseason, Jake. And it was, I got to say, wholly unimpressive out of the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I kind of just felt like it was, and again, you know, it's the first game of the preseason, I get it, but it just doesn't feel like there's a lot of positive momentum right now, and that to me has kind of been the theme of the offseason. Like, I look at the flow of the offseason, whether it was the jersey release, you know, the Don trade saga, some of these signings, like most recently the Bogdanovich trade, and then you come out and it's like, yeah, cool, black uniforms, that looks neat. Like, we're really excited.
That's
neat.
And then the other thing that just kicks you in the bag, Colin Sexton is not starting for this team.
This pisses me off, I have to be honest.
And I the thing that bothers me about that is you traded Don for Colin Sexton, and he's not starting?
You traded a generational talent in Donovan Mitchell, who, love him or hate him, was somebody that took you to the playoffs 5 years in a row. Not in dispute. He was the leading guy on your team that took you to the playoffs. You traded that guy for a guy that you're not going to start. We're on the same page about that, right? Like, that's kind of what it's starting to look like. That Beasley and Vanderbilt and Markkanen and Conley, you know, are going to start, and then you're going to figure out your big, whether that's Olynyk or otherwise. That, to me, is frustrating as hell, because we were sold this package that, well, the Knicks wouldn't want to get it done, or didn't want to, you know, come to the table, you know, first round pick, whatever. Like, the Knicks thing didn't work out. So we went ahead and did a deal with Cleveland.
Yeah.
And Colin Sexton's this great young player. He's going to start. We're going to develop. We're going to be bad for this season.
He's recovered from his knee injury. He's going to be our all-star.
But now you're telling me he's not going to start, which tells me, so you're going to pair Colin Sexton and JC in the second unit? Is that what we're saying?
I don't understand this at all. And, you know, the funny thing is the Jazz are very much in transition. And I know that people continue. I talk about their front office structure and their employment, and people are like, why are we talking about this?
It matters.
It matters. You look at the turnover, and if you're a LinkedIn guy like I am, I'm connected to a bunch of people that do a bunch of things and freelancers that work for the Jazz. And there's a lot of people who have stopped doing freelance work for the Jazz recently. I don't know how many people realize that.
Well, it flies under the radar.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
There's a lot of people who no longer are working with the Jazz, and it's because of this uniform.
Yeah.
And again, the uniform on the floor, the uniform is fine. It just doesn't slap, dude. Like, it's not a great look, in my opinion. I don't know what team that was last night, and this is really my point. I'm not connected to that team at all. And granted, I'm not a lifelong Jazz fan. I think the biggest problem that this team is going to face is fan engagement.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of Jazz fans, and I would love to hear from you guys in the comments on this. I think there's a lot of Jazz fans who just don't give a damn.
Well, hey, it's just the preseason. Why does any of this matter? That's what people are saying, I feel like.
And I think there's actually things to watch on this team. The young guys, the Walker Kesslers of the world, the guy that looked trashy last night, Malik Beasley, did not look good last night. Like, this team is just not entertaining. In one game, I get it. It's one game. This is a ragtag bunch of dudes. And you traded Donovan Mitchell for a guy who is not going to start. And I don't love that concept whatsoever.
Nope.
This is just a bunch of dudes at Vasa Fitness wearing some jersey that says Jazz on it. This is not the Utah Jazz. And
the opposite of full.
I think fan engagement is a huge, huge problem.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bolton, what's up, my guy? He says, I have absolutely no interest in the NBA right now, especially the Jazz. Wow.
Why?
Ouch.
Why?
Yeah, tell me about that. Tanner Plummer says, saw the Jazz game yesterday. Those black jerseys were crap. Were they terrible?
Look, I don't think
they were terrible.
I'm not. You're not going to catch me being like, oh, well, these are terrible and they're crap and they're garbage. I mean,
no.
They're not great uniforms. They're not. But they are the uniforms that we're stuck with now. And I think that this concept around what do Jazz fans have to hold on to right now is really relevant. Like like we're getting comments about, hey, it was just the first preseason of the year or preseason game of the year. That might be true, but if preseason doesn't matter, then why does everyone care that the Suns lost to the Adelaide 36ers? If preseason doesn't matter, it absolutely matters. Not from the sense of win-loss record or are you winning a championship, but from the sense of, hey, that first game, you're setting a precedent for your team. You came out and got throttled by, what was it, like 25, I think they lost by or whatever it ended up being. And you didn't look great doing it. And I get it. It's their first game. You got to build chemistry. I get it. You know, Lauri Markkanen was a nice, bright spot in last night's game. But to me, I just don't feel like this is going to be a feel-good thing, if I'm being honest. Just out of the gate. That's my first impression after watching a game. That may change, you know, as they get better as a team and they start, really adopting Will Hardy's ways and what he's trying to do out there.
Yeah.
But right now, I just don't feel super positive about this.
I don't either. I think this is going to be a very painful season. They just looked like they had no idea what they were doing. And, yeah, I agree with you. Lauri Markkanen, great player. I mean, he is what you thought he was.
Spot. Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I don't know who I'm looking at here. I don't know why am I going to spend my time on a Sunday night when I've got NFL football on TV? It's the weekend's coming to an end. You know, me and my wife, joined this Weston Travel Club.
Yeah.
And so we were like trying to plan travel for my birthday. We're trying to go to Denmark to snowboard for my birthday and all of that, eating pizza, getting in the hot tub last night. Like, I was not really that engaged or desiring to watch the Utah Jazz.
Which is kind of crazy to say because you're a huge NBA guy.
Huge. And then I flip on the Jazz game again, and I'm just thinking to myself, I don't know these guys. I don't know this uniform. I don't know why I'm watching this.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge problem for this team. Caleb Harrison says, I thought about getting a Bogey Pistons jersey. You should. You should. Let's see. Rand says Jazz will be good in 3 years or so.
Yeah.
Caleb says, who will have a better record, the Jazz or the Pistons? So I would think the Pistons.
Yeah.
I would think the Pistons.
Yeah, the Pistons are a better team.
You know, I don't know about that. Jacob DeLambo says Kessler and that one guy that dropped 20. LMFAO.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not wrong. To be fair, that was a home game for Toronto, Caleb says. Yeah, but you didn't show up. Jake Sperling says Raptors fans were calling THT Tim Hortons Tucker. Were they really? Do you guys know what Tim Hortons is? That's like a food chain in Canada, which is just a phenomenal Canadian insult. Yes, it is. That was amazing. Tanner says Jazz should never have traded Don. Well, don't disagree with that. Hoops World says buckle up. The Jazz are the very start of a 5-year rebuild. I don't think it'll be 5 years. I don't. I really don't. Rand says it needed to happen. Royce O'Neal wasn't an NBA starter, and they couldn't beat Kawhi-less Clippers.
I agree they needed to go this route, but that doesn't change the fact that right now it's not anything that I'm excited about. It's not like, and again, I'm not trying to be overly negative on this. I'm just being honest. Like, I wasn't in the mood. And again, you have to remember, football is not my number one. And I say this probably a couple times a week. I am a basketball and a baseball guy, like through and through. And I'm like, all right, Jazz preseason, here we go. What do you got for me? What am I looking for? I know they're going to be a crap team, but at the same time, I want some bright spots. Maybe Mike Conley's floater can come back. Like, what are we looking for, right?
You're holding on to Mike Conley's
floater.
Yeah,
what else do I have to hold on to?
Good Lord. Jazz lose their preseason opener 114-82 in Toronto. Do you care is the biggest question. Spencer Morgan says Sexton not starting was a little weird. That was an ugly game. Jazz have no playmaking. Let's just hope it evolves. I mean,
it's going to evolve, but are they going to be like good enough to beat someone? That's the question.
Well, and Caleb Harrison makes a good point. Black jerseys aren't bad. It's hard to mess up a black uniform. It is, but it's just not.
It's hard to go to black when you've been one of the best unis in the league in the blue note. Like, that's difficult to overcome.
The white, the purple, the city edition. Like, you're right, Caleb. The uniform's not bad. It's not bad.
It's bad in comparison to what you had.
It's just not good. It's just not fire. It's not. Anyway, M. Morris says, love Mitchell, but he was leaving. This was max value.
I disagree.
Maybe. Jacob DeLambo says, the highlighter letters definitely don't look great on black. Seeing it on the nobody players, very unimpressive. On the nobody players. Rants. Vanderbilt is a good defender. Jazz haven't had that. He is an unpolished gem. Yes. I am really excited about him. And I agree. You know what I like about this team, though, on one regard, the thing that I noticed last night? They have a lot of try-hard defensively.
Yes.
They want to be good defensively.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that because that has not been the case with this team. Let's see. Brent Burnett says, actually, Jazz did fine in the first half. Royal Blue Blood says, haha, Baza Fitness comment was awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tanner Plummer, who is very salty today. I feel like you've been salty for like a month now. But they're tanking, so we shouldn't be surprised that they're going to suck this year.
They're not tanking, dude.
I don't know.
It's a different... People... Like, I don't understand why this is such a difficult concept. Tanking and rebuilding are two different things. Tanking is trying to get the number 1 overall pick in the draft, right? Rebuilding is saying, okay, we need to change the scope of our cap space. We need to change the identity of this team. And that means we're going to be a 25-win team instead of a 45-win team, right?
Team you watched last night win 25 games?
Yeah, I think they can. I think they'll get better. I think that, there's a lot of scheme offensively that they're just not comfortable with yet. There's a lot of little minutia things that we're not going to get into that we have all winter to talk about that they need to get better at.
Kanai Johnson says, I'm excited to watch the Jazz lose and watch them grow from losing to winning. Okay. That's definitely valuable. Let's see. Brent Burnett says the Jazz were interesting, just in the wrong way. The team and the fans just trying to figure out who and what to root for.
Yeah.
Truth.
Agreed.
Truth. Boyd Lake says, didn't the Jazz have a Red Rocks motif on black jerseys a while back? That looked nice. Why not do something more like that? Why not do something more like anything other than what they did?
Yeah.
Jeremy Bolton says, bingo, nailed it. That's why I have no interest. College football, NFL, women's volleyball, badminton, all greater than the NBA right now. Can always count on my guy, Jeremy Bolton.
Why don't you throw table tennis in there? And why don't you throw curling in there too, okay?
By the way, it is October, so we can start talking about spring training now.
Yeah.
We've got season tickets to the Cubs in Mesa.
Uh-huh.
We got to do a spring training escape.
Right.
We got to figure something out with the crew. We do. Jeff Johnson says, basketball just doesn't do it for me anymore like it used to. Football is just much more entertaining right now. Truth on that. By the way, 90 seconds from now, we'll announce our newest sponsor on the show. I'm super excited about this.
Exciting times.
Eric and Raleigh says, Huey Lewis said it best. Sometimes bad is bad. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Casual Kel says, seeing Mike and JC is weird. They should play on better contending teams.
Agreed.
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson's got value, man.